first century Jewish wedding process, which a lot of those elements are still in practice today, it was a very elongated process. There was this one point in particular where there was no turning back. This one element, this one stage of the developmental process of the two coming together in one during the course of the engagement and such, where everything was suddenly written in stone and there was no turning back. And this was the point where it was the signing of the wedding contract, the ketubah. This is the marriage covenant. It was filled with all of the expectations of the groom and the agreements of the bride's father and all the different things that were involved in what was expected by the groom in the marriage to come. After that, there were things such as the bride would go off into a ceremonial cleansing time called a mikvah. She would then take the ketubah and study the ketubah and really integrate it into her perspective, her worldview, into how she should be a wife, as laid out by the expectations of the groom and the agreements of her father in the ketubah. And once the ketubah was signed, it was a done deal. Mary, a young child of 13 or 14 years old, we don't really know exactly where she was in the process, but we do know that a ketubah had been signed. Scripture says that she was engaged. She was betrothed to be married. The engagement had happened, and that tells us that she was definitely somewhere beyond the signing of the ketubah, which was why Joseph had to seek divorce quietly, because it was that level of seriousness in the commitment. When the angel came to Mary and told her what was going to happen, that she was going to be with child, this is news that completely changes her world. Everything that was safe, everything that was scripted from here on out, everything that was expected suddenly was turned upside down. And anything that she knew was gone, because now she was dealing with something that she had no clue where to go, what to do. Her whole world was turned upside down with the news of what was going to happen and her involvement in that process. And her response was simply, "I am your humble servant, so let it be as you have spoken." In the midst of all the chaos that was breaking forth at this point, this young child, 13, 14 years old, had the focus and character of faith to just pull back in peace and say, "I'm your servant," whatever that takes. Today's the second week of Advent. Today's candle is the candle of peace. And we find that peace that Mary lived out in that moment when the angel spoke to her. That's Mary's story and her encounter with God. What's yours?